Hi everybody! First of all, I have no idea how people who crochet have crochet channels and knit channels set things up so you can see what they're doing so well. I've been thinking about doing this for days and days and days, weeks, and I don't know. We'll see how this goes. So I've got my camera attached to the chair that is holding my yarn in my project, so we'll see. I just wanted to say a couple things. I tend to put, when I'm working on Afghans, I tend to put the beginning of it in a bag, or either like a grocery bag or a big baggy bag or a box or something, because it takes me so long to do a project that I feel like by the time I'm finished with it, that it gets all frizzy on the bottom. The yarn doesn't look new anymore on the bottom as much as it does on the top. So people who crochet, tell me if you have that problem, and if you do have that problem, what you do to keep it from happening. This is the best solution I found so far, is to just, you know, as I go, wad it up in some kind of bag to keep it from getting frizzy. So this, I am not trying to advertise this as my pattern. It is not my pattern. I learned it from Jada in Stitches. I will put her link below. Please, please, please check out her channel. She has really cool patterns and she's easy to follow. And I think that this is such a beautiful pattern. I'm doing a grown-up Afghan and I'm doing a baby Afghan at the same time. For somebody who doesn't have extra time, here I am crocheting two things. This is the baby blanket I'm doing for a young lady at work. And so this is the, I think it's called the crossback stitch. So easy, so easy. And then I just added these little pink lines, 3 rows of single stitch. So that's what I'm doing, slightly different. This young lady is doing her baby's room in violet. And so that's what I'm doing for the baby Afghan. I started the adult Afghan before, stabbing it, before I started the baby blanket. So I hadn't had the thought about the tiny, tiny single stitch lines in this, which I think are beautiful. But anyway, ramble, ramble, ramble. So I'm doing this in part so you guys know about the pattern from Jada in Stitches. I'm doing it in part because I always lose my favorite patterns, or I forget how to do something, or I forget where I found it, or I print it out and put it in a notebook and then I lose the notebook. I'm just a mess, y'all. And so I'm doing this in part so I can remember, in part so you know how easy it is, and just because I want to see how people set up crochet tutorials. So this pattern starts with a single stitch chain, or that new kind of foundation row that some people do. And she has all those, the beginning counts on her YouTube. So it starts with a single row, and then you go into this. To me, this looks so intricate, but it's not that hard at all. So you go into these, I've kind of been calling them shells. Let's see. And it's double crochet. And so you skip that hole and you go to the next one and you do 3 double crochets in a row. 1, 2, 3. And so you've got this look going on. And then you do a double crochet, but you come back here and you catch that one that you missed. You go, make sure you go through both loops, pull your yarn through, bring it up like you would normal, pull through 2, pull through 2. That's what makes that crossover part. And at first it looks real wonky. You'll think that you did it wrong. I thought that I did it wrong, but it was right. It pulls really even as you go on to the next row. So you just continue. skip that. So this is the one that you last double chained in. Skip that one, come here, double, 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 yarn over, go back to that one that you missed, pull through, take off two, take off two, easy peasy. And so I've learned to crochet. My mom took me to the Y or somewhere where they had like gymnastic, somewhere you could take a little gymnastics, you could take a little yoga, you could take a little crochet. So I learned to crochet real simple a long time ago, but I've never been able to do fancy things. I lose count, or I get distracted, or I just put it down. I always start things and then I never finish them. But this is super easy because you can see how it lines up. So you can see if you've miscounted because all of your spaces are above each other. Super easy to keep track once you get started. So I'm going to go on down to the end, and then it's time to change colors. So I'm going to go back to the white stripe. I'm alternating color stripes and white stripes, these big wide white stripes. I'm going to go to the end, and then at the ends, this is the part that I'm going to mess up when I get confused and forget. Sorry, I keep bumping the chair that the camera's on. This is the part that's going to mess me up if anything messes me up on my counting. See how the ends all look kind of like pointy triangular holes, and they all look very even. So there's a single stitch line and then this shells kind of thing. And then so when you're coming on top of the triple stitch line, you go into that and use that. Not in the space, you go into the actual double chain, sorry, the top of the double chain. When you're turning and you're going on the single row, you only go in the top of the single chain. So I'll end with the cluster of 3, 1, 2, 3, with the cross back stitch, and then one double chain in here in the single stitch. And like I said, I'm mostly saying this, I'm doing this video mostly to test it out if I can aim at my crochet, and so I never forget how to do this pattern. So a lot of times when you have this kind of end, an opening on this kind of end, you just go in the space, but not on this one. When you get above the the double chain, you go into the chain for your last one. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. I'm just gonna hang out here for a minute, pick up my yarn. This is the last of this color of this skein, so I got a mess. You guys get down to the end. See, every time I think, oh, I should have wound this up into a ball, and every time I don't, and then every time this is what I end up with, is this big old mess. So I'm at the end of that with the big old mess. So I like this yarn. I'm using the big twist yarn because it was on sale. No, if I'm doing it, I guess I should do it this way. The big twist yarn. It's the worsted weight, or whatever it's called, the normal number 4 weight. And so it makes for a heavier feeling, a thicker feeling. The baby blanket, oh, this is so soft and luxurious. Love it. I want one. I want to do a grown-up one for me in this yarn. Isn't that beautiful? I'm so proud of myself. Thank you, Jada in Stitches, for this wonderful pattern, because I normally can only do rows of double stitch, zigzag, or single stitch, or that kind of thing. I'm not used to being able to do something that looks this pretty. Anyway, this is the Karen Simply Soft yarn. So it's a thinner yarn, smaller, even though it says it's 4 weight. Don't know where I am. There we go. Even though it says 4 weight, it is much thinner and much softer than the worsted weight when you're working with it. When you just look at it, it doesn't really look like it, right? Well, I don't know. What do you know on the camera, on the video? But the feeling of this is much softer and much gentle, softer. This feels thicker and stiffer. So yeah, even though they're both number 4 weight, this feels so much different. So, okay, get back to this. See, this is why it takes me so long to get anything done, because I just go all over the place. Skip. 1, 2, 3, cross back to that. And this has gotten easy enough with this yarn that I can pretty much watch TV while I'm doing it. And if I make a mistake, I know I've made a mistake pretty quickly because the way these holes line up above each other. I keep forgetting to see if I've aimed, if I'm even pointed at myself anymore. So yeah, it's one that you can do pretty automatically because these line up so well. So beautiful. I really hope you'll check out Jada in Stitches. I'm not getting any kind of commission or sponsorship, Willy Hush, or any of that kind of thing. I just get super excited when I find a good crochet channel. I used to love watching Melanie Ham. She has since passed away of cancer. Love her channel. There's a, I'm gonna mess it up, Bag a Day Crochet. I like her. Of course, I like Mikey with Yarn Inspirations. Different people, but I love it. I get so excited when I find a good channel. Okay, because the rows in between here are single chain, I'm going to just work in the top of that chain and do this, but I'm not going to finish my double chain stitch because this is where I'm going to change colors. So I bring my new color, and I've got the stitch almost done but not completely, and I'm going to pull through, and that starts it nice and even. Your rows, your color changes start pretty even. So now I'm just going to do one because I'm on the next row. So it alternates rows really easy. And so now this row is only single chain. So I crochet over my ends for a minute. Yes. So I chained one extra, and I'm going to come here in that first one, pull through, chain one. And until I get started, I don't, as long as I know I'm going over both tails, I don't worry about it so much. Whoops, see, but I don't want to pull through. I don't want to pull one of the tails through. On this pattern, I like to run over the tails until I get past that that hole, that space. Okay, so then this is what it looks like, and it's kind of sloppy. That's a little too loose. It's a little bunched up in here. So I hang on to it. Oh, sorry. Were you seeing it? So it's a little sloppy down here from where I started running over the tails. So I just pull it a little bit and it tightens up and gets rid of that extra bunching. And then I pull it this way so that I don't have it too tight, and I pull it this way again, and then I pull it that way, and there, see, it's all nice and flat, and these are even, and this doesn't have it all bunched up in here. It looks all nice and even. And then later I will come back with a, this is where I got to pay attention. So many times I've cut the new color. Woo, curse and scream. So cut the color I was using off. And then later I will come back with a yarn needle and tuck these tails back in. So you go back in the other direction, and that will keep it from unraveling. And so I just keep my tails out of the way so I don't run over them by accident now. And I just go all the way across. With single chain. So it's just going through. You make sure you go through both loops. Grab your yarn, pull through, pull through. Both loops, pull through, pull through. Okay, I'm either running out of space or I'm running out of battery, so I'm going to shut my camera off till I get to the end so that I can show where I go in on the end where it's this space, shell, or cluster and end. Okay, when I make a mistake, it's on this end. So there's alternating rows, these clusters or whatever of double stitches, and then a row of single stitch. So when I'm coming up on the end with the row of single stitch, you stitch in the top of each stitch. So that's here. That's the end of the tops of the stitches. So I either forget and just turn here, which isn't right, or I try to go through the hole, which isn't right, because that's like granny squares or a V stitch, I know. In this particular stitch, to make them all be even and to look like that nice and even when it gets laid flat, what's that called, blocked, it'll look like that. To get it to look like that and the same on each end, you come through the top of this chain, and it's kind of tight, so you poke through, and this is so I can remember how to do this if I lose the Jada and Stitches channel or information. And then you just chain through, pull through, and then that makes that really nice even side. And on her video she shows, I'm not this far of course, she shows how to go around and do this beautiful edging. So now I'm ready for my double chain, 2, 3, double chain row. So here's that chain that's like that, and I turn it over, and here I go. I skip the one that is going to be for my cross back, and I go there, double, double, there is something wrong with my phone. My phone's being fussy tonight. So there I got my 3 doubles, and I'm going to go back, catch that one that I skipped, come through. Whoops, this is the, I can't do this holding my hands holding still very well. Pull through and pull through, and there you go. You've got that first little cluster or whatever. I don't know if it's technically a cluster, and you just keep going. That's all it is to this blanket, and it's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And then go check her out, Jada in Stitches, for the what the border looks like. I hope that I'm talented enough to follow along and do the border also, because it's gorgeous. Hope you're doing well. I'm thrilled that I have enough energy and time to do a little bit of crochet. I'm loving both these projects. The baby blanket is so soft though. Oh, anyway, okay. Go check her channel out. This is a note to myself so that I remember how to do this, in case I lose where I've written my notes and in case I forget where her channel is. This is just to remind myself how to keep going and how to do this again, my third, fourth, fifth blanket as I keep going. Okay, see ya.